Hi everyone, welcome to Lead Your Way, another episode, and today we have a very special guest here today with Elric Legloire. Eric, the Outbound Chef, welcome to my podcast.
Thank you so much for the invite. Super excited to be here.
So, you're French, but you're in Mexico.
Mhm.
So, can you tell us a bit about how did you arrive? How did you end up in Mexico?
Yeah, so it's not the first time I live in Mexico. That's the third time already. And the first time was in a gap year during when I was still studying in 2013. And then actually didn't have the plan to stay. And then I met my wife, girlfriend at the time, and now my wife, just a month or two before moving back to France. And then, we stayed together. Now we got married. 2013, moved back to France. 2016, moved permanently to Mexico. And then we stayed like 2 years in France just after COVID. And 3 years ago, we came back to Mexico again.
Okay, so you prefer it in Mexico?
Yeah, but I like both countries. When you live, I think for you, I know you live abroad also, but when you start living abroad, you always compare both countries. And then you start saying, oh yeah, but I like those things in France, but I don't like those things in France. And then same for Mexico. I think now it's, I've been living abroad almost for 10 years now. And it's, I like both countries, I would say, because I lived in other countries and didn't feel the same way with those countries. So, but Mexico, it's one, I feel good about here, being here.
Yeah, no, I understand. There are pros and cons in every country. It's just, actually, it's more about the people you are with more than where you are.
Yep.
Okay, so I believe you worked for Chili Piper, and along this travel from, you went to Mexico, went back to France, back to Mexico. What has happened in your career? How did you end up the Outbound Chef right now?
Yep. So first job, I got it in Mexico when I moved back actually to be here with my wife. So I studied marketing. I was looking for a marketing role, and I had this dream of working in marketing after this business school in France. And something I didn't anticipate. It's everyone wants to work in marketing, and when you are recent graduate, it's not ideal, I would say. I had this dream of working in marketing and in the video game industry. It was tough. I didn't end up in the companies I was looking for here in Mexico because for the visa also to get the visa here. So I started working for a B2B company, selling services for big enterprise companies here in Mexico City. And actually, so I was doing marketing for B2B services. And then this company, I was trying to implement the tactics that at the business school, they were teaching us, oh yeah, with your 1 million euros plan that you have for your year, you can do this. And the reality was I was working for a SMB company with 30 employees. They had no budget, so it's you need to get creative. I started doing some research about what I could be doing with low budget, and I ended up starting prospecting actually. So I was doing the role of an SDR before being an SDR, and without any training or just reading online, I was booking 15 meetings a month for this company just by sending emails to those companies. The first book I read about this was Predictable Revenue, and I was really translating the templates from the book and applying them to this company and applying those tactics. So, for example, I was sending emails to the CEO of General Electric in Mexico City. So they have super huge in Mexico, and I was getting some replies from people like that, and
Nice.
getting introductions to the right people, and we were booking meetings like this. So it was
What year was that?
2017. So almost 9 years ago.
Okay, I understand, because I was in the expert network industry in 2018 and 19, and I mean, you could have a lot of answer from email back then.
Oh yeah, in Mexico, it's not a crowded country also, so it's not like you need to send quality, because today obviously it changed a lot. I'm not saying it's, but back then I was not sending great emails. It was just a template I was using. I think Mexico, so it's not a crowded country at that time for cold outreach in general. So obviously it was the beginning. Now a lot of things have changed, but that's how I started in sales. Basically, I didn't plan to be in sales. I was more thinking about my role. Basically, was getting meetings for the founder of the company, and that's how I was doing it. And he didn't care about how we were getting those meetings. That's
so
it's pipeline.
Now that you think about it, were you bad at sales back then?
So I don't think I was bad at it, but I was seeing a lot of examples of bad salespeople, and I didn't want to do the same thing. So maybe those emails, yeah, they were bad at it, but we were getting meetings from them. So is it maybe just the beginner luck? I don't know, but I knew I didn't. Actually, I hated sales at this time because before, when I was studying, I had this internship of being a telemarketer. So 150 calls per day, and they was selling financial services to people who asked for information 5 years before that. So basically, you were talking to people that didn't know you have their phone number and
Oh my
talking
God.
about those services. So not, I would say, the best first experience as a cold calling, because it was cold calling. So I say, oh yeah, I don't want you to do to be in sales because it's. But basically, it was it was a lot of bad things we were doing at this internship. But now I love sales. So
Yeah, but you know what? Back then I had to do. I mean, my first roles, I had to do so many calls, so many messages, so many emails. But then after that, it was good because then after everything felt easy. You know,
yeah,
when it gets more qualitative and more strategic, yeah, it didn't feel like a pain to just pick up the phone and have
oh yeah.
the right contact and calling the right person.
I think B2B it's easier also because my first experience as with cold calling, because I had like some experience in the retail industry. So I think it's easier because people go talk to you. So it's not you talking to them. So it's different. What real experience with cold outreach was this one. It was B2C with no research. So it was just a list of names and phone numbers and you call them. That was it. So no preparation.
Lots of fun. Okay, so after that, what happened?
So I wanted to get an SDR role because reading predictable revenue, I learned about the SDR role. I say, actually, I think with what I'm doing at this company, I can get a role. So I was trying to apply to companies like Zendesk in Mexico City because I had an office, and I had the chance of talking to someone at Zendesk, but the Yami team, he helped me improve my resume to get interviews basically in Mexico City. And so thanks to him, because we are still in touch, I got my first role, not at Zendesk, unfortunately, but at a Texas company, a competitor of Deal or Oyster, if you're familiar with them. And
I was employed by Oyster
oh yeah, okay,
for
right.
a while. Yeah.
So maybe you know them, globalization partners were really my first role working for in the tech industry, I would say. That was the first one. Then moved to another company, still in the HR industry. It was a talent acquisition, more focused on talent acquisition. SDR again, and then I moved to leadership, and then I moved to Chili Piper, but as an SDR, not SDR leader.
How did you? So the first time you moved to leadership, how did that happen?
Because I was performing really quickly at the company, and the second thing was also training the other reps on the team, already showing what was working for me after like 3 months of being at the company. So I think if I'm thinking about what I've done, basically I was proactive, I would say, not just waiting to stuff to happen, because at this company, there are any managers. We had like how do you say that, teams per country. So we had the team for Mexico, a team for Costa Rica, and countries like that. And we do have like managers for the A team and same for BDRs. So basically, we started to, because we don't have like direct managers, we have like more like a country manager. We started to talk to each other, and then they were always asking questions to me. So that's, I think, being proactive. That was
Okay. And how big was the team? How did it felt when you started the role?
We were 4 in total, and 5, I think, at the maximum. How I felt, I was feeling not good because I had never managed teams in the past. I think, and I know it's the same at a lot of companies. It's they give you the role and then go figure out, and you don't have like any training, coaching on the first, because it's a first line management role. So I was feeling lost, I would say. I was reading a lot of books to try to understand how to structure your week, how to structure your one-on-ones, training, coaching sessions, stuff like that, because I was now you are you are leading the team, so now your role is to make them successful. And I think because at this company, at my previous experiences, I've seen that for reps, yes, you have a lot of trainings, investment from the company to train you as a rep, but as a manager, I felt like I need to take ownership of this. So that's how I felt, and overwhelmed, I would say.
Okay. And so at what point did you then feel that, okay, I am a leader, like not having this imposter syndrome anymore?
Yes, that's the imposter syndrome I was looking for. So, not at this company. That was later, like 2 or 3 years later. Not at this company, because at this company I stayed like 6 months in the management role, and then COVID happened. At this company, COVID impacted a lot the company. It was a bootstrap company, so I didn't stay at the company. That's why I moved to Chili Pepper actually, because I've seen it coming. We lost like 2 customers from the top 5 customers in terms of revenue. So bootstrap company losing 2 top customers. I know some decisions are going to be made, and the day I said I was leaving, 6 people get laid off because of I knew it was like a tough time at that moment.
Okay, so tell me more about when you felt like a leader.
So that was Chili Pepper actually. I got promoted, like I would say 6-7 months in the company after being an SDR again. I was leading the Yemi team, I think after a year, something like that. And at that time I was feeling more confident. I would say because obviously being at this company, but also I think it's a feeling. So I don't know. I was feeling more prepared. We are getting more support as managers also, and also had more experience, I would say, as a frontline manager. But I don't have like a specific time saying at this moment I was feeling like a leader, but it was more like I was not feeling that I didn't know what I was doing, but I think it was better.
Okay, good. And so at what point are you? I think you started with the SDR Game podcast, but I'm not sure.
Yep.
Yeah, you did. So just for context, when I was SDR leader then SDR manager, I found your podcast and I was like, this is amazing. Someone is talking about things that I'm facing, and I'm in this startup that is a scale up, and I'm on my own trying to figure out things and this podcast was a great help. So it's pretty, I mean, I don't know. When I think about it, did you feel that it was maybe too niche as a podcast, or there was something already existing around SDR specific podcast?
Okay, so let's think about why I've done that first. And so I was doing a lot of stuff in French before you discovered the SDR Game podcast. That was not my first podcast. I had like a podcast in French before that. When I was at Chili Pepper, actually, my wife was the one. She was pushing me to say, "Hey, you should do this in English and stop limiting yourself at doing this in French." Like you said, I think why I was not doing it in English, I was thinking that the English market, the English speaking market for podcasts, you have a lot of podcasts. I think at that time we had like more than 200 podcasts. Right now, I don't know really, but I know at that time we had like more than 200 podcasts. So I said, why another podcast? And when I was listening to podcasts, I was not reasoning with it's not reasoning. A lot of podcasts, I feel like it was not applicable to what I was doing. It was not like something I was finding interesting, or the style of the host, I didn't like the style. So I said, you know what? The goal is not like to create another podcast just for the sake of a podcast, but more like I want to document some of the stuff we were doing, maybe a Chili Pepper, but also talking to other top performing reps, because SDRM specifically, it was more focused for reps. Now it evolved. Now it's more for leadership than reps. But my goal with this was really like going outside, talking to top performing reps from other companies and trying to understand what's the day-to-day looks like, how they think about cold calling, how they think about cold emailing, and just documenting that instead of, hey, just giving some tips and, hey, if you write a subject line, do this, or here are the 5 mistakes you shouldn't be doing with a subject line. So I feel it was more interesting to ask those questions because as a leader, I think something I learned a lot, it's talking to reps and shadowing them. Also, it's a great way to learn what great look like, and not just listening to tips, I would say, because as because obviously I was a rep at the time, at some time, but also a leader. For me, the best way is to watch or shadow people also, and then see the stuff they're doing and implementing it.
Okay. And at some point, there is a point where you're like, okay, this thing is big enough. Maybe I'm tired of corporate job. I don't know. And also there is rebranding from SDR Game to Outbound Kitchen.
Yes.
What happened?
So I think the podcast is also an evolution of me and where I am right now in terms of my journey for that. But I was at my last company because now I'm a solopreneur and I've been working on my own since September 2024. When I was still working for SaaS companies full time as an employee, the last company I was really tired about the working one for companies, but then two, it's sometimes unfortunately made some bad decisions about the company you are joining. And the last company, I think they didn't ask the right questions during the hiring process. So, and I did maybe I think I did that I should have been saying no, I won't be taking this role, and I took it anyways. Didn't work really well, and I said, you know what? I was thinking about having my own business, and that's why I made the decision. And why SDR Game became Outbound Kitchen, just because SDR Game, it was really for reps, mainly for reps, and yeah, maybe frontline managers. I say, yeah, I can keep going with this, but I know as their leaders, most of the time, they won't be the person that I'm going to talk with if I want to run my own business. And I can see that right now. Most of my customers, I work directly with the founder or the CRO or the CMO. Most of the time, yes, I'm in touch with the SDR leader, but the main point of contact is the CRO, the leader of the company. So that's why I made this decision, because I said, I can't keep going with the SDR Game because it was mainly for reps. And I saw this gap also in the market of a lot of people talk about just cold outreach in general, and they talk about the process, but they don't talk about all the systems you need. How to hire people for being good at cold outreach, how to train, coach them, and create the system to make them successful. That's why I would say it became out there Outbound Kitchen.
Okay, understood. So what are you doing with Outbound Kitchen? How are you helping people with your company now?
Today, I have like three main sources of revenue. I have three revenue streams. Basically, it's services, and here it's advising, consulting, and go-to-market engineering services. So really depends on the stage of the company, but it can be from working with a team of 30 reps and we build the systems, the signals that they need, up to write the talk track for cold calls and stuff like that. Second thing is I have the podcasts, but also it's not just a podcast, it's the newsletter also that I have. And inside of that, I have like a paid version of what I'm doing with my customers. So basically, it's the same stuff that I'm doing with my customers, but you can get that for a smaller price, I would say. And then the last thing is, sponsorship for the newsletter and LinkedIn mainly. That's what I'm doing today with this.
Okay. And are you happy about it?
Yep. Every time I know it's not like my 2-year anniversary on this, but best decision I've made basically. So always grateful for this. So obviously, if I'm thinking if I would have done that earlier, maybe I will be in a different situation. But I don't know. But I'm happy with this decision.
Okay. So you're thinking long term. You have plans already.
Yep. Still, I know I was chatting with someone who was also with a solopreneur also, and he told me after a year he was tired of being on his own, and he moved back to a company. Didn't work really well, so he's again a solopreneur.
Okay.
So yeah, no, I think long term, I'm not thinking running an agency or something like that. So pretty happy with the solopreneurship, I would say, business model. It's not a business model, but more like the not hiring people, basically, and scaling the business. I'm thinking more about how we can use AI or freelancer or contractors to help with some of the stuff on the business instead of hiring full-time employees.
Okay. Yeah, I feel the market as well is going that way now more and more. And I think with AI, it will even get bigger.
It depends because in the space we are, I'm seeing a lot of people creating their own agency. And that's not my goal. Right now, I have like 70% of my time on customer delivery. But I would say my goal is to be at like 30 to up to 50% depending on the week, to spend more time on the podcast or the content or also the product I'm building, because I would love to spend more time on this so I can have like a better product, I would say, because I'm thinking really like it's not a software what I'm building, but I know a lot of people are using it and using what I'm doing. So I would love to spend more time on this because I think the customer, what I'm doing with my customers, feed what I'm doing as a product, and then talking to customers also help me improve the rest. So we'll see.
Okay, good. So now I want to pick your brain on what it means today from the Outbound Chef.
Mhm.
What is a winning GTM team doing today? What are the best doing now?
A lot of things. Yeah, I think it's a lot of things, but I was checking basically I think it starts, the first thing, it's from day one, not right now what they're doing. It's you have the leadership involved in the outbound strategy from day one. What I mean by that is it's not like you have a founder hiring an SDR and then they figure out. No, it's most of the time you have a head of sales or an SDR leader, even the founder involved in this since day one, and they invest in this. And when I say invest, it's not just hiring an SDR and they figure out. They give them like a seat on Apollo, because outbound at the beginning, it's I would say the hardest part of it, because most of the time companies, even bigger companies, they still don't know their ICP, but that's not the primary outbound at this stage. The 0 to 1, it's the hardest because of that, because they think it's going to be easy. They think they can just hire someone junior rep, junior SDR with no experience, and they figure out. So they treat really outbound as a strategic initiative, not like a project, and they treat it as a go-to-market channel that they should be doing, like you do with marketing, for example. So, and I would say that's the first thing where they start, and they do this differently.
Okay. What I've experienced on my side as well is sometimes, the leadership team is thinking, okay, with one rep, we are booking this amount of meetings and this is leading to this amount of opportunities and pipes. So let's hire 5 more reps. And they just do the math this way. That's simple, but it's not working.
Okay, so this actually, that's a mistake. Here it's not like what the top team are doing, but this one, it's a mistake that I've seen a lot of times, mainly with early stage companies, but even with bigger teams, because the issue, this issue is I don't know if because at my last company, that was the main topic. One of the main issue I was trying to fix is the top-down headcount planning. It's this year we need to do 5 million ARR. Okay, the quota for AEs, it's 600,000 per rep. Okay, so that's well, I don't. Yeah, I'm not good at math like this, but let's say 5 AEs. No, not 5, a bit more. Okay, let's hire 5 AEs. Okay, so to feed 5 AEs, we need this amount of pipeline per AEs, and then blah, 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 blah. But the issue with that is if your team is at the stage 0 with outbound, the math doesn't work. So it's one of the reasons. It's even though that one rep is booking 10 or 15 meetings, you still need to plan that if you have 5 reps, that they will still produce that. And unfortunately, it's not like you can say, oh yeah, I'm going to hire 5 reps, and then they magically book this. No, because hiring reps, a lot of leaders, they don't anticipate that you have the ramp period, especially if you're at this stage of starting with outbound. It's longer. So it's not like, I saw this benchmark on LinkedIn to say, oh, it's a 3 months onboarding, it's a 3 months ramp time for SDRs. Yes, bigger companies, small, how do you say that?
Early stage?
It could be 6 months, up to 8 months, 9 months, but you shouldn't be focused on the 3 months. Benchmark are great, but you need to be careful with what you read.
Okay, so you said for a winning GTM team, we need first the leadership to be involved. What's next?
The other one is the investment in data. And here I'm going to explain what I mean. Data, I'm not talking about having a data warehouse mainly. It's having great data about your accounts on your market and your prospects. So email, phone number, stuff like that you need, because if you don't have a great data about your accounts, for example, you are not going to target the right accounts. And if you don't contact the right accounts, you're not contacting ICP accounts, stuff like that. So what they do here specifically, it's sometimes you see on LinkedIn people sharing their tech stack. They say, oh yeah, we are using 30 tools. What they do differently, those teams, most of the time, the reps, they use 2 or 3 tools, maybe max. I know some companies, they use only one. They use, for example, the CRM, and they can do everything from the Salesforce, for example. They can call, they can send emails because the ops team, they build everything so they can use just Salesforce. They don't need to go to Zoom Info. They don't need to go to LinkedIn to find the contacts at the company. Now, because they're investing a lot on the the tools that you need to just focus on those tasks, prospecting, instead of doing the manual work. So, and when I say invest, that could be Zoom Info, Cognism, Apollo. They use the three at the same time. They use Clay. They can be using different ones. So obviously they're not using all of these, but my point is the data, that's where they are spending most of their money, I would say, for the team. And then they don't add tools that add clicks, I would say, to rep, or add more manual work. They are thinking a lot about a system where they're spending their time. The reps spend most of that day on the phone or email on LinkedIn, for example, depending on what's working the best for them. That's the second thing I would say they do best. And then the third thing, they are making sure the reps are spending, I would say, for SDRs today in 2026, if your team can be 70% or 80% of their time prospecting, you're already a top team just by doing that. That's what they are doing, because even though we're in 2026, a lot of companies are not doing that. You have still a lot of teams still manually doing a lot of the SDR work manually. And it's, if you think about the salary of a rep, it's really expensive to have someone going on LinkedIn or adding contacts to a sequence that a lot of tools in 2026 can do for the team. And when you have a team of 2, yeah, maybe it's not a lot of time, but when you have a team of 50 reps, that's expensive.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, basically leadership involves data and then making things the most, let's say, efficient as possible so that the reps will have the maximum time available to just pick up the phone and call and prospect, and that's it.
Yes. So for this, if you want to rephrase that, it's basically the capacity of your team. It's increasing the capacity of your team. So you need to think about quota specifically. I think the quota, it's more like something you think it's achievable or not, but it's more what's the ceiling, I would say, of your team. And if you ideally they spend 80% of their time, and with 30% of their time they book 15 meetings a month, well, maybe they might be booking 30 meetings a month. Obviously, in the hypothesis, that's I would say that's the way they are operating on this. It's they are focusing on the outbound capacity. Every SDR, how much pipeline can they generate per month, and not just quota.
Yeah. And also, I mean, we spoke a lot about numbers and like the system, but at the end of the day, you can have, more time on the phone. But if you're not capable of having the right conversation, if you didn't have the right training or coaching, or if you have a poor leader, then everything is off the table. So
and if you want to talk about all the mistakes, that's part of those mistakes. It's but I think that's the thing they're doing differently, because when I was at Chili Pepper, I think we had like great coaching, great training, but I think the blockers we had was the data and the time spent on the manual stuff as reps. And I know today they don't operate the same way as the way we were operating like 3 or 4 years ago. And because we don't have the tools also to do that, because obviously now the tools enable the team to do more. But yeah, coaching and training the team also, it's another one.
So Eric, let's bring one topic, a big one. Everybody's talking about it all the time right now. And I'm sure you're on the front line. How are GTM teams the top ones using AI today?
So this one is, if we think about, again, what I mentioned earlier about the manual work, or removing that from the day-to-day of SDRs, or AEs also that still do cold outreach. The first step of using AI that you've seen on the market was you have access to ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever you use, Perplexity. And everyone was using it manually. I would say it's, you have your prompt, you put you have your prompt for account research, you have your prompt to summarize or to write a message, or have like a talk track for your call calls. And this is still manual. So it's, the quality might be better than having the rep doing the research, because maybe it's a bit quicker, but it's still adding some manual steps. So I would say that's, everyone was doing that since I think it was 2024 that ChatGPT was released.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. But right now, what the top teams are doing, it's the reps don't touch the chat anymore most of the time. I imagine they still do, but I would say if you think about how those teams operate, basically you have a team that support them. So ops, some companies have an AI team, some companies have like an SDR ops team or RevOps, whatever who owns that, if it's a go-to-market engineer sometimes also. But they have someone that build workflows to do that at scale at the team. So basically, if a rep had a contact to a sequence, whatever, if it's in your dialer or outreach, sales loft, whatever they use, you have a trigger to run those workflows in the backend. And then, depending on the speed, because obviously you want some speed for that, it's ready for you. And I know some companies, they pre-draft the email, for example, but basically you have like a talk track for your cold call. You have your emails pre-written. You can send them as they are, or you can add some stuff. Some companies, they send them automatically, but I know that's the way they operate. Most of the time, the rep, they don't touch the AI chat, I would say. It's a lot of workflows to remove those manual steps. And if you think about all the ways they use AI for the ops team, basically it's in a lot of different parts, but you have the outcome research, the reasoning about the research. Did we talk to this company in the past? What's happening inside the business online? Draft of the emails, talk track for cold calls, drafts for LinkedIn. But I would say that's the main angles. AI coaching also, practice. I know some companies, they use AI to practice also, especially for onboarding. So, but yeah, I would say that's what I've seen and the way we operate with some customers.
Do you have mostly like positive, let's say, feeling about AI or negative in terms of impact for like, our jobs in sales space?
Oh yeah, I'm super positive about it, and I'm a strong adopter of AI. So
you love
spending a lot. If I have like the max plan for Cloud Code, so I use AI a lot. So I don't see AI like something that's going to replace the team, but it's more using how you can use AI to make teams more successful. So it's not like using AI as a rep, because the way I use obviously AI and the teams are using AI, it's a bit different. We don't use the same, AI the same way, but I'm a strong believer that AI is here to make sales teams better.
Okay. If you had a magic wand, because with AI we can make so many things now. You said like it's pre-writing like the emails, you have maybe some call script or whatever, icebreaker, or I don't know what you want to use, when you're calling this prospect, the sequences. What are the blockers right now? If you could design like the perfect GTM process, what are the things that are blocking you right now with what's available with AI?
For me right now, it's the speed of execution. I would say it's from idea to implementing it for a customer. And that's why I love Cloud Code, because if I'm comparing to the way I was building those systems for teams before, and with what I'm doing right now, it's way quicker, I would say. I don't know if you use Clay or you are using Clay, some companies, but Clay is great. I love Clay, but you have a lot of clicking. You have a lot of, you need to create each column one by one. It's a lot of manual stuff that you need to do. And one thing that AI is helping, but tools like Cloud Code, for example, or Cortex from ChatGPT, it's you can connect your tools and AI can do a lot of stuff for you instead of having you doing it. So it's getting way better and quicker to do the stuff right now. So, and when I say from idea to execution, I'm going to give an example. So right now I'm working with a customer. They are going to a lot of trade shows, and what I'm helping them with, it's building the list for this trade show. And before it was, I need to find a scrapper to scrap the list from the website or the app on my iPhone. Then I need to clean the list. Then I need to find the LinkedIn profile of those. So you can think a lot of mini steps in this process. But right now with Cloud Code, I'm not at this stage of saying just, hey, scrap this and give me the list. Not yet, but at some point I will be at this stage because there is still like some gaps in the process. But when I'm talking about execution, task to execution, that's what I'm talking about. AI is getting really, really better. Not maybe every week, but every month, I would say. You have like a lot of new release of features for each AI tool, and it's getting better and quicker.
Okay. We spoke about, systems that are for quite big companies, I feel.
Yes.
We are both solopreneurs right now. What would you advise for an entrepreneur or founder or very small startup? Okay. So we are arriving around the end of the episode, Elric. It feels to me, correct me if I'm wrong, but it feels to me that you're slowly going back to marketing.
Well, I would say No, but you're right on this. But I think running a business, it's marketing, sales, and product also, because what's something I didn't anticipate is thinking about the services or the stuff I'm doing as a product, I would say. So that's the three main focus for me, basically. Yeah, marketing, sales, and product.
Okay, good. So what can we wish you next?
Well, I don't know. Like I mentioned, like you asked me earlier, I'm pretty happy with this stage of my journey. So can't wait to ship everything I have on my in mind. That's shipping quicker, I would say.
Thanks, Eric. Thanks for your time today. And yeah, of course, we'll follow you on LinkedIn and the newsletter. And a lot of things for you to work on with all these updates we have with AI all the time. And you will always have to elaborate, I guess, new system for your clients. So looking forward to reading about what you're doing and to listening to your podcast.
Thanks, Tom. Really appreciate it. And thanks everyone for listening.